Hello, this is 5.1 part 2 video, and you're going to need this handout because there's a lot of stuff written out for you. So please make sure you have it in front of you, and if you don't, check out my Power School website where you find my videos, and under chapter 5 you'll see the PDF for this video here that you can download. And when you're ready to continue, press play. Please pause now. Okay, so now let's take a look at the top left, and here we're going to look at some ratio tables. And ratio tables are basically two quantities that are proportional to each other. So for this ratio table, we have minutes and miles here. Okay, now to find the unit rate using the ratio, you find the ratio y over x. So we're going to write that here. You're going to use y over x. Okay, so on your ratio table, your top row is always the x value, your bottom row is always the y. So we want to find out how many miles per minute, because we're talking about speed here. Miles per minute, we don't say minutes per mile when you talk about speed. So any ordered pair here you can use, except for you wouldn't use 0 over 0. Okay, I'm going to use here this one. So let's circle that with our red pen. Okay. So circle 12 and 2, except you're not going to put 12 over 2. We want to know the speed, so that's 2 over 12. Okay, so again, that's why we put the miles, the y over the x. So we have 2 miles over 12 minutes, okay? And you can leave it as a fraction. So it's going to be 1/6, and then you label it miles per minute, okay? Now you could have easily used any other pair. Like I could have used instead 5 over 30, okay? And I would still get the same ratio, 1 over 6. Or 4 over 24, that's still 1 over 6. But I use the smaller numbers because it's easier. So let's look at the ratio table here comparing teachers and students. So all these numbers are proportional to each other. Okay, again, let's label the top row X, the bottom row is our Y. And I'm just going to use, again, my smallest numbers. Okay, if I remember, if you have 0, 0, don't use that one, of course. That's not going to help you. And then you're going to label this 96 here. Goes on top, the Y goes on top, the 3 goes on the bottom, and I'm going to put here students. Okay, and on the bottom, I'm going to put teachers. Okay, so now you divide, and this one does come out evenly. They're both divisible by 3, so you're going to get, let's see, that's going to be 32 over 1. So then you're just going to write it's 32 students per teacher. Okay, and that's your unit rate. And then you just box your answer. Okay, so now what we're going to do is look at the upper right box here. And now, again, we have ratio tables, but we have some missing values. So I'm going to show you how you're going to find those missing values. So looking at the top, it says finding a missing value. And it says to find a missing value on a table, use the unit rate to help. So make sure you write the words unit rate. Okay, so we're going to do that to help us find the missing values here. Here we have the tickets and the cost for the tickets. So again, remember that the top row is going to be your X value, the bottom row is your Y. So in this column right here, we can use these two values to help us find the unit rate. So it's $15, okay, for 2 tickets. And then if you divide those together, you're going to get $7.50 per ticket. Okay, so let's write, that's our unit rate. So that's going to help us when we are trying to find out the cost for 3 tickets or for 5 tickets. So for 3 tickets, here I'm going to use red, you just take, since it's $7.50 for each ticket, you just take 3 times 7.50. And then for 5 tickets, you just take 5 times 7.50. Okay, and that'll give you your price for each set of tickets. So then for 3 tickets, when you multiply those two numbers together, you get $22.50. Okay, make sure you put the 0. And then for 5 tickets, when you do 5 times 7.50, you're going to get $37.50. So I'm just going to write 37.50. And you don't even need to write the dollar symbol because it's already written there on our table. It's written as dollars. Okay. Now the other missing value is up here. Okay, so to find the top number, you're still going to use the unit rate. If you have $30 and each ticket costs $7.50, instead of multiplying, you're going to divide. So let's write it with your red pen. 30 divided by 7.50. Okay, and when you put that in the calculator, you're going to get the answer 4. That's 4 tickets. Okay, so you multiply on top, you divide on the bottom with the unit rate. So let's apply that to problem number 4. We have cookies and sugar, grams of sugar. So the only unit rate that I have that I can use is this one right here. Okay, remember this is our X, this is our Y. So this is going to be 12, okay, grams of sugar for 3 cookies. Okay, so that's going to be 4 grams of sugar, 4 grams of sugar per cookie. Okay, that's our unit rate. So that means if I want to know how many grams of sugar for 5 cookies, if I know each cookie is 4, okay, with my red pen, you want to write here at the top, 5 times 4. You want to multiply it with the unit rate. And for 10 cookies, you do, to figure out the grams of sugar, you do 10 times 4. Okay, so then that's going to be 20 grams of sugar and 40 grams of sugar. Okay, again, I don't have to label because it's labeled in the heading of our table here. And then for the last one, for this 4, to find the top number, we just use division. So you take this 4 and you divide it by the unit rate, which is also 4. And so that means 4 grams of sugar is 1 cookie. Now we're on the bottom left. So for the bottom 2 boxes, I know this is a really long video, but this one is the bottom 2 are going to be dealing with graphs. Okay, so now that we have the graphs, for the first bottom left, it's the unit rates on graphs. I've shown you how to find a unit rate using a table. Now, using a graph, it's a little bit different. So here it says if the graph passes through the origin, and the origin is just at 0, 0. So like this here is the origin. So if the graph passes through the origin, the point 1 comma R represents the unit rate, where R equals the unit rate. Okay, so let me explain that. So to find the unit rate here, okay, here we're talking about the speed of a sloth. And the speed of a sloth on the X, this is always the X value. Okay, I'm going to put that again in red. It's always the number going across. Okay, and the Y value is always the number going up and down. That's your Y. Okay, so what you want to look at under time, you want to look at when that X value is 1. Okay, so here's your 1, and you're going to go straight up. In fact, with my red pen, I'm going to just put a dotted line going up. Okay, so it intersects the line right there. Okay, so it's just going up starting at 1. All right, so now what I look at is I look across, okay, across that, this number here, that's your unit rate. So again, you look at where 1 is on the x-axis, and then you look straight up, okay, and look at what the y value is. So here I'm circling 6. So the unit rate in this graph is going to be 6. And we're going to label it, okay, and because this is labeled feet on the y and minutes on the x, you just label it 6 feet per minute. So that's the sloth's, it looks like his traveling rate, 6 feet per minute. Okay, so now let's look at part B. What is the sloth's distance after 3 minutes? So now that we have our unit rate, it's really easy to figure out, okay, well, every minute it's 6 feet that he travels, so his distance is just going to be 6 times 3. Okay, so you write 6 times 3, so now the sloth's distance is 18 feet, and we box our answer. Okay, now, so let's take a look at the bottom right, and we're going to look at this graph right here that shows a proportional relationship here. I know it's proportional because it's going through the origin and it's this straight line. Okay, and then this talks about money. The total savings are on the y-axis, so label this y, and then the number of weeks, okay, is the x-axis. Label the other axis x. And then the question is, what is the unit rate? Now, the problem with this is that on the x-axis, I don't see a 1 there. Okay, so what you can do if you don't see a 1, what you want to do is take any point on this line that you can find the actual x and y value. So I'm going to pick this point right here. Okay, so then that means my x value here is going to be 2, and then across my y value is going to be 94. And then you just write that as a unit rate with, you put the dollars on top. So $94, it's y over x, okay? And then you put the number of weeks, 2 weeks. Okay, and then you just divide. So if you divide those two numbers, you're going to get $47 per week. Okay, so that's what you do if you don't see a 1 on the x-axis. And then for the seventh problem right here, number 7, we notice that this one is referring to the number of cookies, so that's going to be our y. So let's label that y. And then cups of flour, they're x. And the question again is, what is the unit rate? And I notice, oh wait, there's no 1 here. You can use any of these dots. I'm going to use, not this one because this one I don't see numbers on it, but I'm going to use this dot here. Okay, so to find my unit rate. So here I'm going to just mark the x here and then mark across the y there. So then I put y over x, so it's 96. Okay, and it's going to be over 6. And then you divide those and you're going to get, it's going to be 16. And then you have to label like cookies per cups of flour. And I know it's a long label, so you might have to pause the video. And that is a funny looking of. It's 16 cookies per cups of flour. Okay. And then for part B, this one's a little different. It says, what does 12, 192 represent? And so it's talking about this point right here, because this point is when the x is 12 and the y is 192. And by the way, in case you don't know, when you write an ordered pair, you always write x, y. So the x is 12, the y is 92. What does it represent? So in this case, what that means that since x is the cups of flour and y is the number of cookies, it means that it takes 12 cups of flour to make 192 cookies. So go ahead and write that sentence down. And before I forget, for your secret code word, what I want you to do is, since we're talking about cookies, I want you to write next to the title of this page, I want you to write what your favorite dessert is. And if you don't eat desserts, you can say, I don't eat desserts. And then that's it. That's all for your video notes. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.